Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, Sean Dumas.
Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another Honorable Warrior episode on Bravery Within. Thank you so much, especially today, for tuning in to this episode. This cause, I kind of want to lead the charge on, because I have been down this road before. I fight negative thoughts. If you're fighting negative thoughts, any way that you want to do any self-harm or anything like that there, I'm just trying to help all the men out there as much as I can. Now, if there's ladies listening to this is all for you as well. Unfortunately, this whole thing doesn't go by sex. I want to try to help as many people as I can with this whole debacle that we go through constantly. So episode number 5 is titled "Ending It All Isn't the Answer." And I'm gonna lay out. There's gonna be a bunch of statistics on this one here. I'm asking you to hang into and listen to the entire episode. If you're thinking about suicide in any way, shape, or form, I thank you for listening. I can't thank you enough for that. And please hang in there until the end of the episode there. We're going to have all kinds of different things to try to help you. And I want to tell you right now, I just want you to know this right now, clear and simple. You are not alone. You're not the first person to go down this road, and believe me, it's a terrifying and dark road that you're heading down. I want to try to help pull you back. I want to try to help you as much as I possibly can. So before I get started and anything else, I want to give you a phone number to call. It's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The number is 1-800-273-TALK or 1-800-273-8255. Or you can just dial simply 988 and you'll be connected to somebody that's a professional and they can help you. This is all, the data is basically going to be for men, but ladies, I know there's ladies that listen to this podcast as well, and I want you to know my thoughts and prayers go out to you as well. And if there's something that I can do to try to help, let me know. And I'm going to tell you, back when I was 18, I attempted suicide at myself. It was a really, really dark time for me, and I'm going to do everything I can to try to keep this whole episode very positive and very upbeat, but it's pretty hard when we're talking about such a dark subject. So hang in there. If you're thinking about doing anything crazy, do me a favor, please. Just sit down, take a breath, and just breathe for just a few minutes and listen to anything that I'm talking about here, and before you do anything drastic. I can't stress that enough, because once you make that decision and you go through with it, most of the time there's no turning back. You don't get a second chance. I was lucky and got a second chance for some reason. Apparently I wasn't very good at it or something there, or I had an angel watching over me. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it was a combination of both, but ending it isn't the answer, and there's so much more in life that you can get out of it. There's people that are relying on you. They need you in their lives. So please, before you make any drastic decisions, all I can say is take a break, sit down, grab something to drink, either like I do, Mountain Dew, water, juice, something non-alcoholic. Let's keep the mind kind of flowing, and let's get it going in the right direction. And sometimes alcohol can cloud that, let's be honest. But sit down and find something healthy to drink, take a breather, and just let the stress come off for just a little bit before you make any decisions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the statistics that I found. And I know statistics are dry and boring, but when we're talking about something so dark and so permanent, I just want you to know you're not alone out there. Like I said, when I was 18, I tried ending it all. And I'll tell you about it right now. So I'm not saying that mine's any better. I'm not saying it's any worse. All I'm doing is telling you I tried it once, and all I want to do is try to help you as much as I can. But back when I was 18, I had a girl that proposed to me, and I was coming off of all the abuse, the sexual abuse, the molestation, everything there after 8 years of all that, and trying to get my head straightened out, and then working with somebody that liked to, mess with your mind, play mind games constantly. I grew up with that. so I was trying to learn how to straighten myself out, how to just basically be a person instead of, like a marionette puppet where everybody was pulling my strings and it was driving me nuts and I had no control over my own life. So I was 18 and this girl proposed to me, and I thought I fell madly in love with her. I'm not going to lie. She was my first true love, I believe. And I wanted to do anything to basically be with her. And it was 2 days later, her ex-boyfriend ended up getting in an accident and got seriously hurt. Now, just so you know, he was a friend of mine as well, and he came out of it okay. He was pretty messed up and took some time, but he did pull out of it. And he did good. He's back up and he's got a good family now and everything else. So I'm happy for him on that respect. But she ended up going back to him. She ended up giving me, because I wasn't planning on anything and I didn't know anything, so I ended up giving her my class ring for the wedding ring to say, okay, yes, let's do this. And she gave it back, and I ended up just being so absolutely destroyed, and with everything else that I had gone through, I honestly, I didn't have anybody to turn to. I didn't know what to do anymore. And I just flat out said, okay, I just don't want to live anymore. I'm done. I'm checking out. And I'm returning my life back to sender. So I decided, I was sitting up at the lake. It was a moonlit night, and where she proposed to me, and I accepted. And I sat there for a while, just absolutely breaking down. I was just on the verge of basically just losing it. Just tears and everything else, listening to the song that she proposed me to over and over and over again. Anything there to basically just drive home the pain, because everything was so bad. So I decided at that point, I'm done. I have no interest in going on anymore. So I decided that I took it was a late 80s Chevrolet Cavalier. It was a 4-door. And back in those days, there was no airbags, there was no crash prevention stuff, there was no nothing basically. You're driving a piece of metal. And I decided at that point I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was going to do something. And the road that I knew very well. I could drive with my eyes closed. I grew up on it. I drove it all the time. I knew every corner, everything there, and I knew there was a perfect bridge that I could just pile drive the car into because there was a good straightaway getting to it. So what I did is I started turning the corners and started going down the road, and I couldn't see anything with all the tears in my eyes. And yes, I'm a man. I admit it. We're not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to have emotions. We're not supposed to have anything like that. But my life was destroyed. It was over. I didn't care anymore, and I just wanted to end it. So I started heading down the road, and I shut my lights off. And there was nobody around, and I didn't want to hurt anybody else. So I was really, really careful to make sure there was no headlights, because, it was, oh my goodness, probably 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So it was dark. There was no seeing, and the only light I had was a full moon. And it was highlighting just enough of the road. Like I said, I knew the road good enough. I didn't even need that. I could drive down just fine. And I decided that, okay, I turned the corner, and I knew from here on out, it was a straightaway. And I figured I had about a quarter of a mile before I would run into the bridge. So I absolutely put it to the floor. And of course, it was just a 4-cylinder. So it's not like, let's be honest, it's not like I had 700 horses under the hood. But it still got up enough speed within that time frame. I was well over 90 when I quit looking at the speedometer. And I let go of the steering wheel, and because I had aimed it right at one of the bridge pylons, and I was just going to take it head nose into it, and with no airbags. I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. I wanted to make sure that I did a good enough job to finish myself off. And I just took off, let go, and I just closed my eyes and just kept this accelerator just floored. And as the engine was howling and I was heading down, I was into the ditch, and grass was flying everywhere and branches were flying because I was running into little bushes and stuff. I knew there was no trees, so I knew that I was okay there, because I didn't want to take the chance of slowing down before I got to the bridge and just trashing the vehicle and getting hurt and not doing the job. But it was probably about 3 or 4 seconds before I ran into the bridge. Something turned the steering wheel. To this day, I don't know what it is. My only guess would be I had a guardian angel watching over me. It's the only thing that I can think of, because I did not turn the steering wheel. I did not slow down. I did nothing. My mind was made up, and I was going to do this. And as it turned, the vehicle was whining, trying to get back up onto the road. And when I realized that it was turning and there was no more chance of running into the bridge, I locked up the brakes and slid down the ditch and everything else, and almost rolled it sideways, almost barrel rolled it, because I was literally going sideways compared to the road. So it was like going down the road. I was picking up my passenger side wheels, were grabbing everything, and it about barrel rolled it right into the bridge, which wouldn't have done any good. I mean, I'd have just crushed up the vehicle and probably broke a leg or two or something. But I get up on there and I back up on the road after, I figure out what's going on. So I slowly creep up onto the road, and I go over the bridge the right way, and I pull off to, there's like a little campground that was right after the bridge. And I pulled into the campground, and I just sat there and just trying to figure out what just happened, because I was still alive. I wasn't planning on being alive. I wasn't planning on, taking another breath. Let's be honest. So it was overwhelming. I didn't know what to make of it, because I didn't turn the vehicle. Someone did, a guardian angel, like I said. That's my only explanation. I have been, that was 31 years ago is when I attempted this, and I can still clearly remember the attempt. And I still remember seeing the steering wheel turn without me touching it. So after I sat there and basically lost it, and just, I didn't know what to do. I got out and I was screaming, and I was in the middle of the road hoping somebody would come along and they would just plow into me. And of course, the one time that nobody drives by, I stood there for 15 minutes and nobody drove by. And I was just losing it there right in the middle of the road, because I didn't know what to do. It was like, this is not what I wanted. So I went back around and I thought, okay, fine, I'll just attempt it a second time. And I turned the vehicle around and headed back down the road, the quarter of a mile, flipped a U-ey, and took off again. But I realized about halfway there, I locked up the brakes. I had lost my nerve, and I couldn't go through with it. So I sat there for a little bit again, and once I realized what was going on, and I basically pulled myself back together enough to drive safely. I took myself back into town and went up to my work, because it was a fast food place and they were open till midnight. And I walked in there because I knew a couple friends were going to be there. And I walked in, and because I basically had been just shaken up the whole time, tears running down my face the whole time. I was just shaking when I walked into the building. And take into account, it took about 25 minutes to get from where I was to my work. So that whole time, I'm just a bundle of nerves trying to get myself back there, because it's like, okay, well, I'd given up my life, and yet it was given back to me for some reason. And I didn't understand why at the time it had. So I went in there and I told my friends what I did. And of course, they were upset and scared and, mad that I wouldn't talk to them and be there. And then they were mad at, my ex-girlfriend and stuff for doing what she did, because nobody had known that she'd done that. And I had carried it around for a couple days before I made the attempt, trying to get my head straightened out again, and it just didn't work. And it took me trying to kill myself before I could get my head back on straight. So, basically all said and done, it's it's a lot. I still find myself thinking about it at times. I mean, I fight depression constantly. It's a bad thing for us men. Most of us men do fight depression horribly. And I know that runs prevalent in ladies too. But from all the statistics that I found, men are 3 times more likely to be depressed and attempt suicide than what the ladies will. And I'm not saying that's any better or any worse, and I'm not trying to say anything about it. I mean, it's not for the ladies trying it too and stuff. I'm hoping you'll get something out of this podcast. Yes, it's all geared towards men, but I do know ladies listen to the podcast, and I'm hoping there's something in here too that will help you reconsider your thoughts and reconsider your decision before going all in on this subject. So after I got that all said and done, And it took me a little while. It probably took me 15 years before I told my parents about it. And I just accidentally said it, and I never wanted them to know, because we were just sitting around the table one day, and my mom just lost it. She just broke into tears. My dad, I'm not even going to tell you what he said, but let me put it to you this way: it was not supportive. And basically it come down to, well, I really wish you would have been able to go through with it, is really what it come down to. Kind of hard to hear. And then, my mom's, sobbing and crying, saying she wished I would have talked to her. But the reason I say that is because I'm hoping that there's somebody that you can talk to out there. I didn't have anybody at the time. I had gone through so much, and I'll be honest, I didn't know who to trust at that point, mainly because it was just like, us men, we're supposed to be self-sufficient. We're supposed to be rocks. We're supposed to be tough. We're supposed to do all that, hide our emotions, compartmentalize them, don't process them, all of this stuff. And that was drilled into me from the moment I started walking. So I didn't really feel that I could really talk to anybody. After I made the attempt and got back to my work and my friends were there, they got mad at me, mainly because they felt bad because they never had any idea. And a lot of people that try to attempt suicide, they never say anything. They just go do it. I've lost 3 friends to suicide, and all 3 times I didn't see it coming. They never said anything. They never indicated it. It broke my heart, because it was like maybe there was something that I could do. And all 3, I lost all 3 of them before I made my attempt. So I didn't, I understood you left me with a bunch of questions. Maybe there was something that I could do to help you. And they just never gave me a chance. And then once I made my attempt and got up there, I understand why all my friends were mad at me, because I did the same thing to them. Even though that it didn't work out, I still realize that I would have left them behind. Wouldn't have made things any easier for them. And that's something that's hard to take that into account when you're talking about suicide, because your thoughts are on you. And I'm not trying to say that you're being selfish in any way, shape, or form, because most of the time the people that contemplate it are givers. They try to help everybody else. They feel like they're a burden if they talk to anybody else there about this. But just so you know, nothing could be further from the truth. That's why I let out with the phone number, because I want you to know you can talk to somebody. I may not have all the answers. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. And I've made that very clear in all my podcasts. I don't have a special diploma hanging up on my wall that says that I'm smart and I've been through school and classes and everything else. Like I said, I'm just from the school of hard knocks. Everything that I talk about, I've pretty much been through. So that way I can say honestly, okay, this is what I've done. But if you need someone to talk to, or you have a question or something's bothering you, like I said, you can email me, SeanGMorris@gmail.com, and I will do everything that I can to try to help. Like I said, I'm not a licensed therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not anything like that. But sometimes just knowing that somebody's out there is enough to make a difference. And I'm not going to blow any smoke here. I still think about my attempt almost on a daily basis. I fight depression every day. The depression leads into migraines constantly, and it's, and I probably should go see a therapist. I just haven't. I was raised that you just don't accept the help, but I'm getting better at it, and I'm hoping soon to be able to be strong enough to talk to somebody about it. The closest I've been to talking about it is on this podcast. A couple of my closest friends, my son, they know about this. Mainly, I never wanted to burden them with it, but they wanted to know. So, I told them honestly what I tried. But one thing that I've learned is men account for 75% of the suicide deaths. Untreated depression is the major risk factor for suicide. And when I saw that statistic, it was like, wow, okay, now it's starting to make more sense of why I tried it. Mine was, everything that I'd been through, I've been through more than most people go through in a lifetime. And I would never wish that on anybody. I hope nobody goes through that. But unfortunately, it's just, I know it happens still. but I just wanted to let you guys know out there, and like I said, this is geared for men, but there are women that listen to this, and I want you to know you're just as important as what the men are. It's just that there seems to be more resources for ladies, so I'm trying to let the men know you have resources, you have a place to go, and I want you to know that somebody is thinking of you. We do need you around. You have family, you have friends that would be lost without you. So before you make any hardline decisions about ending it all, please think about that just a little bit there. And I know it's really, really hard. There was nothing that you could have gotten through to me. I'll be very honest. Right before I made my attempt, my heart was shattered. There was nothing left. I finally trusted the first girl that I could after everything that I'd went through, and she destroyed me right away. And I didn't have the tools to process it, to handle it. I didn't know who to talk to, mainly because I tried talking to people and getting help when I was being molested and raped, and nobody would listen to me. So I tried very, very hard to get help, and nobody would. And back in the 80s, they didn't believe boys could go through that. They said it's just not possible. Which is like, okay, well, I'm going through it. It's like, okay, what do we do? But nobody would help me. So I honestly felt like when my heart was broken, shattered, destroyed, I had no place to go. These days, that's been 30 years ago. Things are changing now a little bit more to support men on what they go through, and the sexual abuse that a lot of men go through. And like I said, men are supposed to be tough. Nobody's supposed to be able to take advantage of us. Nobody's supposed to be able to hurt us. But unfortunately, it does happen. And less than 1% of those abuse cases ever get reported by men. And I never said anything. And this is as close as I got to saying, I'll never release the person's name that did it to me. I'm not going to ever go into great detail about it. Just know that I've been down that road, and I know what you're feeling, and it's a lot to process. So what I wanted to do, now that we're talking about this, and I just want you to know the reason I led out with my story while you're sitting there, and I'm hoping you're still sitting there listening to this podcast, is to know that I have been through this. I know what you're feeling. I know what you're seeing. I know what you're thinking. And it's not easy. I mean, there's so much to process. There's so much going on. And it's almost like for us introverts, you're short-circuiting. Just mainly because it's too much. It's too overwhelming. Well, just know, there's the Lifeline. There's a phone call that you can make. And there's a lot of good people out there that do want to help you. There's a lot of smart people, a lot of people that have been trained for this. They've taken classes, they've got the diploma. Those are the ones that you want to talk to. Talk to a therapist. Just because you're talking to somebody doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean that you can't handle it on your own. Sometimes something as simple as just talking about it is enough to diffuse the situation, to make you slow down a little bit, kind of back off just a little bit, and say, okay, well, maybe this isn't the right answer. And that's what I'm hoping this podcast will do. Is if you're ever thinking about it, I'm hoping this podcast will basically say, okay, just breathe, get yourself something to drink, and then sit down in a comfy chair, or whatever it is. Just give yourself a minute to settle back down. Because honestly, I tried doing that, but I got myself so worked up before I made the attempt, because I was alone. I was out by a lake. There was nobody around for miles, and I was completely alone. And I was just like, if I'd have had somebody there, I would have never attempted it. I think I would have been better off. I would have, talked to them. Basically, they could have helped talk me off the edge instead of jumping off like I did. And that's what I'm hoping this episode, this podcast will do for you. Even though I know you think you're sitting there and you're thinking nobody cares, you're completely alone. Just know I care, and I want you still in this world. I want you to be able to see your family and your friends again. Remember, if you have a fur baby, they depend on you. They need you. They don't want to see you go anywhere. There's so many reasons to continue to live, and that's what I'm hoping that I can get through to you. And I know where your head is. It's tough. I still to this day know exactly what I was thinking and how dark I was during that time. And to be honest, it scares the heck out of me still today. That was over 30 years ago, and I still can remember it clear as a day. There isn't a day that doesn't, when I drive on that road, that I'm not instantly teleported back to that moment when I tried to take my car into the pylon of the bridge. Sometimes it freaks me out, I'm not going to lie. Nobody knows that it does because I keep it hidden. But then there's other times that it's not quite so bad, I can get past it. I've showed a couple people where I made the attempt, but they don't know that there's flashbacks every time I drive by it. Sometimes the flashbacks are very minimal, they're not a lot, but then there's other times that it really, really hits home. So some of the numbers that I found, go through, and then we're going to lead into some of the things that I'm hoping that will help you. That's why I keep saying, just breathe. I know that sounds funny, and you're thinking, geez, Sean, just keep saying it, just driving it home. Well, that's one thing that I hope you feel it that way, because if you just take a break, sit down, listen to my voice, and know that there's the strength that I am trying to project through this microphone and out through your speakers. I want you to be able to use that to help you get through and not make that decision to end it all. I'm hoping that there's something that I can do with just all I got is my voice going through this microphone, but I'm hoping you can understand that I'm sending through strength, I'm sending through positivity, I'm sending through good vibes all the way through this, so that way you don't feel that you're alone, because that was the one thing that I felt, that was the biggest driving force for me, was I felt I was alone. And at the time, technically I was, but in reality, I did have friends that would have listened. I just didn't say anything. So, if you're just sitting there and decompressing a little bit before you do anything drastic, just listen to my voice and just breathe and settle down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about a couple statistics here, so that way you're not alone. That's why I'm saying these statistics. The rate, basically, let's see here. I've got a bunch of them, so I didn't highlight the ones I really wanted to, and I should have. In 2021, men died by suicide 3.9 times more than women. Every statistic that I was able to find, and I looked on a lot of sites, and like I said, the government websites, and then there's the medical websites, and I went to a few websites where they're all based on suicide and stuff. They're trying to find some information for you. On average, there are over 132 suicides per day. And that's a lot. And I was almost one of them. And I'm hoping and praying that you don't become one of those statistics. White males accounted for 69.68% of the suicide deaths in 2021. That's a staggering number. But like I said, this whole podcast is all based around for all men and women. I mean, I'm just basically some of the numbers that I found. In 2021, firearms accounted for 54.64% of all suicide deaths, which okay, I didn't choose to use a firearm, but I lost one friend to that, and I lost two to where they hung themselves. So firearms weren't factored in there, and it didn't factor in for me, but there's a lot of people that do use, guns or anything like that to try to do, the unthinkable. So almost 800,000 people die each year due to suicide, which is twice the number who die by homicide, which was a staggering, terrifying number that I found. For every death by suicide, there are approximately 20 suicide attempts made. So that's what I'm trying to say is you're not in this alone. There's so many of us that have been down this road, and trust me, it's a long road to recovery, and it took me a long time to get over it. And I wished at the time I would have gotten professional help. I'm not going to lie about that one there, but I thought I was a man, I was tough, I was strong, I could do this on my own. And I was raised that if you ask for help, you're weak. So I never did. But honestly, looking back now, I wish I would have gotten some professional help. I wish I would have talked to a therapist or psychologist or psychiatrist, or any one of those, any one of those people that are smart, they're brilliant, and they're trained to help you. I honestly, I wish I would have gone. It probably took me 3 or 4 times longer to recover from this. I'm pretty well recovered from it. I don't have any thoughts of doing suicide anymore. Depression fights constantly, but I have to say that this time it's not leading into suicide. But honestly, I wish I would have back then. I really wish I would have gotten some professional help. Men account for 75 to 80% of the deaths by suicide. And then they got some broke down by countries. Canada, men account for 3 out of 4 suicides. Roughly 8 men take their life every day, accounting for 3,000 deaths per year. In the UK, where nearly 12 men lose their lives to suicide every day, men die by suicide at the rate 3 times more often than women. So that's why I'm saying everything that I've been able to find, it always shows that men are a little bit higher than that. In the US, suicide rate is among the males is 4 times higher than females. Male deaths represent 79% of the suicides, amounting to about 105 who lose their lives every day. So that's why I want you to know you're not alone out there. That's why, talking to somebody is huge. Basically, it's taking a step back before you make that decision can really, really make a difference. Because when you're emotional like that, especially for men, one thing that I've learned is we're not used to these strong emotions. We're not used to having to process them and deal with them. So when we get this overwhelmed and this worked up, we really don't know what to do. We don't know how. We don't know where to go. We don't know where to turn. We don't know anything. So sometimes our only thought is basically, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. So I'm just going to end it all and be done. And that's where I was back when I was 18. And I don't want you to get to that point. I want you to find a good reason to continue to live, because we need you. There's no doubt about that. Suicide is a leading cause of death for men under the age of 50. In Canada and US, it's the second most common cause of death, and in the UK, it is the single largest cause of death. That's terrifying that those numbers are quite that high, because it makes me feel that you think that nobody cares about you and nobody's there for you, which is not true. And I know if you're sitting there, I hope you're not sitting in the dark. Turn a light on. Do something to illuminate a little bit there so you can see your surroundings. Not because if you sit there and stew in the dark, that just makes it worse, because then you don't see any reason to live. You might have very good reasons. There might be, you may have your kiddos, you may have your spouse, you may have your partner, you may have your fur babies, you may have your parents. There's so many good reasons to continue to push on. I know it seems hopeless at the time. I know that, but just trust me and know that I tried it, and I'm glad that I lived. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm glad that I made it. My life has not been easy. There's been a lot of turmoil. There's been a lot of ups and downs. But when all said and done, I'm very glad that it didn't work. So my guardian angel that was looking out over me made a difference. They were much smarter than I was, because I couldn't see past that moment. I couldn't see past my heartbreak, my heart being shattered like it was. I couldn't see any good outcomes anymore. I couldn't see anything positive for my life to continue on to want to live. But I'm so glad that somebody was looking out for me and made the decision, no, you need to stick around. We need to keep you here. There's a reason why you're here. And that's what I want you to know, is there's a reason why you're here. I don't want you to go out and do anything drastic. That's why I'm hoping and praying you are still continuing to listen to this podcast. And you're sitting there, and I'm hoping that you've settled down a little bit. The pressure's come down a little bit here. That's what I'm hoping for. So that way maybe the rationality will kick back in. And I wish that would have worked for me. I wish somebody would have basically talked me back off the ledge and said, okay, now just think for a minute. This is what you're giving up. So some of I went and I found on this website, headsupguys.org, and I read through a lot of their stuff. What a phenomenal website. There's a lot of good stuff on there to help you through this stuff. I wish there would have been something like this when I attempted, because honestly, I think it would have really helped. But they have a couple tips to basically, before you do anything, this is kind of what they're recommending. It's headsupguys.org. It's a great website. I was reading through it, so hopefully there's something in there that they can help you with. The first thing they say is to remove yourself from danger. Basically, physically remove yourself from the area of the situation in order to minimize the potential of acting on suicidal thoughts. So if you're, if like me, I should have got out of the car and removed myself from the danger, and maybe my brain would have kicked in a little bit faster at that point and got past the hurt, where I wouldn't have made the attempt. So if you're sitting there and you do have a firearm at your side, get rid of the firearm, get rid of the temptation, get rid of it. And try to find somebody to help you a little bit. Call a friend, call a family member, somebody there, anything to try to help take your mind off of it a little bit. The second thing they recommend is slow your breathing, which before I even had this, I knew what I was going to do, and constantly say that through the whole podcast, is taking a few deep breaths and just basically just slow down and allow yourself to basically just breathe in, hold it for 4 or 5 seconds, and then breathe out, and do that several times. You'd be surprised in how that will help your muscles. It'll relax your muscles. It'll get your mind to slow down. It'll help out a little bit. But slowing your breathing is another good way. Refocus your attention. This is something that when I get depressed, this is something that honestly that I do, and I'm glad they had it on their website. But if there's times where I'm really, really down and I can't seem to get myself out of that funk, I refocus my attention. And one of the things that I do is they have it listed as visualizations, looking around and stuff there. Basically, what I do is I close my eyes and I sit there for a little bit and keeping them closed, and I allow my mind to take me to a place where I absolutely love. And one of them is a lake here that's close to us. It's surrounded by trees. It's isolated. It's about 6 miles from the closest town, and the town is all of about 10 people. There's not a lot there, but it allows me to basically hear nature, hear the birds, the chipmunks. You hear the winds blowing through the trees. You can see the fish jumping on the lake. And what I will do is I'll focus on that. And what that helps me do is it slows down my breathing. It makes my muscles relax. And it allows me to concentrate on something besides the negativity that is running through my mind, and it helps me basically move on and get past it a little bit to allow myself to allow that depression and allow those thoughts to basically just kind of like wash off of you. For the most part is one thing that I do. Use your senses is another one they'll tell you to do. Close your eyes for a few moments and then open them. Focus your attention on whatever's around you. Try describing what you see in as much detail as possible. The texture of the ground, the colors on the walls, sounds that you hear. The more you focus on that, it's going to take away the negative thoughts that you have rolling through your head right now. So thinking, you can hear things, you can smell things, you can taste things, you can see things. You have so many senses, and just start using them. And you'd be surprised on, like, when I'm up in the hills, I'll just get out and sit in the grass, or I put my feet in the river, in the creek, and allow the water to flow over my feet. I play with my puppy up there and stuff. She's around sniffing and seeing things, and I just sit and I listen, and I'll close my eyes and I'll listen to her. She's always close to me. And so I hear her sniffing, running around in the grass. Then there's times she'll run over to me. And what that does is it helps settles me down and allows my mind to not be so clouded with negative thoughts. It really, really helps me. It also calms my muscles, because then sometimes that'll help with my migraine that goes along with it. So getting your muscles to relax is another huge thing. The way they did it there is work your way down through the muscle groups: face, jaw, neck, shoulders, back, arms, legs, and calves. Basically just go down your whole body just a little bit at each one at a time, and it'll help you. You can use your hands to massage your neck and shoulders, anything to try to get that tension out of your muscles. All else, reach out, ask for help. That's what I keep telling you guys. That's why I gave you the number and stuff right at the beginning, and I'm going to give it to you at the end of the podcast as well. But just know, man, I know we're supposed to be strong, and you are. You're amazingly strong. You're a rock. You're incredible. You're what you're supposed to be. But just know that there are times that even us, we need help. That's just what it comes down to. And sometimes just that simple, just talking to somebody is enough to talk us off the ledge. And that's what I'm hoping this podcast does for you too, is it just gives you a second, just think about it, breathe, relax, and so that way you'll come off that ledge and give yourself time to heal and think about it. And then what I wanted to do also for this last little bit here and stuff here, because I'm trying to watch the clock so I don't go too far over today. And then I went to, these are things that I went to rethink.org, their website, which was a good one. And I found a bunch of it, because I had my own list, but they had a better list. So I kind of fused the two together of what I do if I, have those thoughts, suicidal thoughts. Like I said, I don't have them much anymore, but I know there's a lot of folks out there, and I had a friend that just recently that was having the thoughts. So I tried to help them, kind of saying, okay, this is, this could help. It helps me with my depression, helps me with my, because I get a lot of negative thoughts at times there, especially when the depression kicks in. So I kind of use these things to help me restructure my thinking to get back into a positive way. But I got some of these from it's just rethink.org, their website. I had a pretty good list, but then they had a few more on there that I wanted to talk about. So one of them, I thought was perfect, and I wish I would have thought of this one, but they came up with this one here, is don't make a decision today. You don't need to act on your thoughts right now. And that is so true. And basically that's what they're saying is come back off the ledge. Give yourself a little bit of time and allow things to settle down a little bit before you go and make that ultimate decision. And that's what I've been trying to say through this whole thing is you don't have to do it. And they said it perfectly. Don't make a decision today. It's perfect. That's the best way that I could say it there. I wish I'd have thought of that one there, but another one that I had there along with them is talk to other people, which I wish I would have. And you'd be surprised, after I made the attempt, and like I said, and I went up to my work and I started talking to a couple people, what I did, it's amazing how much better I felt. Just talking about it was enough to make me feel better. I remember, because I had 3 friends that were up there, and they spent the whole night with me. They wouldn't let me out of their sight at that point, and it took a while before they would trust me being alone again, which was a good thing. I mean, it was probably a good thing to know that I had somebody that they cared enough that they kept an eye on me. And you'd be surprised on just talking to other people how much and how far that will go to helping you. Another one there is be aware of your triggers. That's one thing that I try to be really, really careful about, especially with my depression and my migraines and stuff. Is triggers are anything that'll make you feel worse. Triggers are different for different people. You may find that certain music, photos, or films make you feel worse. Try to stay away from those. And then they come up with you can create a wellness action plan to help you be more self-aware of these triggers. Write down your triggers and keep them close, so that way you know that if you're questioning it or whatever, you can look at this list and say, okay, well, this one sets me off, so I probably shouldn't go down this road, and I probably shouldn't do this. Anything to try to help you basically avoid them. And I do this quite often. Is there's a lot of triggers that can set me off. It can set off a migraine or set off my depression. So I do whatever I can to try to stay away from them. And you'd be surprised on how much that helps. Another one here, which is really, really good. Look in your crisis box or hope book. A crisis box or a hope book is personal to you and can be filled with items that make you feel happier about life. If you don't have a crisis box, you can make one. They'll talk about it later and stuff here. But what I do is when I have those problems, I actually have a memorial dedicated to my mom, because she passed away several years ago. And anytime that I start second guessing myself or I get depressed or something, I'll go to that shelf and I'll look at it, because it's items that were near and dear to her, which turned into near and dear to me. And I look at it and I get strength from it. And I don't have a crisis box, but I have a crisis shelf. And I use that to help me when I'm really, really down and out. I'll actually go to the shelf, her picture's there, and she's smiling, and it's just like, even though she's not here anymore, I can draw strength from it, and it can make me think, okay, well, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I need to breathe, sit down, and think for just a minute, and just let my muscles relax, and take a break. And it helps. It really, really does. It really, really does help. I mean, I can't stress that one enough. There is having like a hope box or something like that there. You'd be surprised on how far that will actually help you when you're starting to second guess yourself. It basically regrounds you, because when you're not feeling good, if you're trying suicide or you're having negative thoughts, it's like you're floating, you're detached. And it's like you have nothing to help you pull back down. Well, those boxes, and like me for the shelf, or the hope, the book, will help reground you. It's like brings your feet back down to earth and allows you to basically settle back down again and take another run at it. Because it may take a couple, 3 runs to get whatever you need to do, but at least this way you have a shot at it. You didn't make the decision to end it all. You're going to take another run at it. And that's brave, courageous, and strong. It's amazing. That's exactly what you are. Don't ever doubt that. Don't let anybody tell you any different. You're amazingly strong and courageous to go through this. This is a lot to go through. So just so you know, I know for a fact there that you guys are incredibly strong. So never doubt that. Another thing that I'll do is I go to a safe place and have something set up where you can go to this place and basically you feel protected. And it could be your bedroom. It could be home, or it could be your friend's house where you feel comfortable at, or a family member's house, a crisis center, mental health center, could be a religious or spiritual center. You can go to church if that helps you. Some people find comfort in a library, a peer support group, just any place that you feel comfortable, that you know that you can get a little bit of help and a little bit of support. That'll go a long ways. Do whatever you can, basically be proactive, because if you know you're going to be heading down this road again, set yourself up to win and set yourself up a safe place. And to me, that's huge for making sure that you're going to make it through for another day. Another thing that I do is I'll find a way to get my mind off of it. I'll distract myself. That's a good way of putting it. And I may read a book, or I'll start writing one of my books, and I'll start getting lost into it, so I get my mind off everything. Or I'll watch a good movie. Sometimes just watching some movie that I've seen 700 times is comforting, or a TV show that I've seen that many times is comforting. It kind of helps reground me. Draw or paint, listen to music, do some gardening. I know I have a friend there that loves to garden, and she'll tootle out there all the time when she's down, and she does good, and it allows her to be distracted and gives her something positive to focus on. And that's what you're looking for here, is something positive to help pull you through. Some of you play video games, go for it, or other games, puzzles, anything like that there. Singing or playing a musical instrument, I'm not talented enough to do that, but I know there's a lot of amazing people, such as yourself, that can do that. So go ahead and focus on that one there. Spend time with your pet. As we talk, Willow is literally right here on my foot under my desk while I'm talking to you guys. And she's remarkable. She takes a lot of stress off of me and helps me through, and she doesn't know that she does, or maybe she does. They're just little fur babies with they're just angel wings. I mean, they're angels. There's no other way around. All my girls have helped me out in rough times. They've been amazing. Another thing that they say is set small goals to focus on. You could do the laundry, make a cake, or tidy or organize something. Just anything to get your mind off of everything that you're going through right now. It's amazing how far that will go. So let me put it to you this way. I'm running out of time here and stuff here, but I want to end this on a very positive note, because you guys are amazing. Before you make any decisions, consider the consequences, and I know that's nearly impossible to think of right now. And I wish I would have thought of all that I left behind, because this is what I would have missed out on. And so maybe this is something that you want to write down in your list or something to help you through. But this is what I would have missed out on if my attempt on suicide would have worked. I would have missed out on my 28-year-old son. He's remarkable. He's my strength. He's a remarkable man. He's very strong, very amazing, and I would have missed out on him. I would have missed out on buying my first home. I would have missed out on owning my own business. I mean, even though that COVID took it away from me, I still can say I was a business owner. I still made it work for a while. I just wish it would have, continued. That would have been nice, but it didn't. And there's probably a reason why it didn't. To be honest, it probably led me to doing podcasts to talk to you guys, making you guys my extended family. You guys are my family and friends, and I get to connect with you because of this. I would have missed out on 6 fur babies that mean the world to me. We've bought some from breeders. We've rescued some. We've been very fortunate to have those fur angels come into our lives. I would have missed out on more time with my mom before I lost her, which I was, so grateful for the time that I got to, basically be with her. She was taken way too soon, but I was able to, maximize the time that I had with her. I got to go for a tour of the New England states. Let me tell you, my goodness, Connecticut, New Hampshire, oh wow, Vermont, Maine, Upper New York. It's amazing. Massachusetts we were in. What a beautiful set of area. I mean, I cannot wait to get back out there again. The people were phenomenally nice. They were so much fun to talk to. We ate so much good food. We stayed in, I don't like staying in any motels, but we stayed in, it's called the Glen Inn out there in New Hampshire. And what a remarkable place. They took very good care of us. I would have missed out on all that had my suicide attempt worked. I'd have missed out on all my current friends and family. You guys are amazing. The people that are closest to me and stuff there that we spend our Friday nights together, I would have missed out on all of that. There's so many, there's so many things that I would have missed out, and I am so grateful that, I'm guessing it was my guardian angel that said no and pushed me back towards the road. And I'm glad that angel did, because I would have missed out on all of this stuff. So, feel free. Talk to somebody, get some help if you have to. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want you to know you're strong and amazing. So if you're reaching out for help, it doesn't mean you're weak. Not by any. They're going to give you some tools to help process all these complex emotions and everything that you're going through, because you can't compartmentalize this one. This one here you have to deal with, guys. You have to. You can't lock this one away. Trust me, I tried. It almost destroyed me. And I don't want that happening to you. You are incredibly strong, incredibly amazing, and you have people that are relying on you. So it's okay to get some help, because you need to be taken care of as well. Somebody needs to be there for you, whether it's in a professional or personal manner. It does not matter, as long as somebody's there. And know that I'm behind you 100% for getting help. And like I said, I'm hoping maybe someday to go talk to somebody about all my emotions that I have locked up for so many years. I'm just letting you know ahead of time that I'm still planning on talking to somebody. I don't feel that it's a sign of weakness anymore like what I used to. Now it's just a matter of finding somebody to talk to and making it, and helping me through so many things. So just know, I think you're incredibly strong. Same way with the ladies out there. I think you're incredibly strong. You're incredibly amazing. And to get help for something as serious as this and as dark as it is amazing. I'm so proud of you guys for going and getting help, talking to somebody about this, and making the steps forward to make yourself healthier and happier, and being there for everybody that is depending on you. Remember, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-TALK or 1-800-273-8255, or you can simply dial 988 on your smartphone, and you'll be able to get through and talk to somebody that will be able to help you, somebody that's professional, somebody that's went to school, they know the tool, they have the tools to help you. Those are the ones that you want to talk to. I'm just hoping that something in this podcast brought you back off the ledge, because you're my extended family, and I want you around for a little bit longer. You're amazing, you're strong, and don't let anybody tell you any different, because you are. You're absolutely incredible. So I'm going to end the podcast right here. I'm hoping something's in there, and don't be surprised if somewhere down the road you hear another podcast on this, because this is something that's near and dear to me, and I want to try to help everybody as much as I can, especially when it comes to suicide. So What I'm going to do now is end the podcast with a positive. And guess what? It's the dad joke of the day. You didn't think I was going to forget, did you? I did. So, if you're ready to go and ready to roll your eyes, here's the dad joke of the day. Do you know what you call 2 ducks and a cow? Quackers and milk. I love that one. That was really, I died reading that one. I thought that'll be a perfect way to end this podcast. So thank you so much for listening. You guys are amazing. Remember, you're strong and you're not weak for getting help in any way, shape, or form. I want you around. You're my extended family, and I'm hoping there's something in this podcast that will help you. As for now, all my love and support.